I am sure you have heard of Hecate in ancient Greek mythology. Are you aware of her connection with the Greek magical papyri, torches, keys, dogs, and snakes?
Imagine her as the queen of the Underworld, a goddess with three faces, each looking in a different direction. That's Hecate.
She's not just any goddess. She's the boss of magic, Crossroads, and the in-between spaces.
People used to write her name in special magic books, asking for protection or to bind their enemies.
If you're out at night and hear dogs howling or see flickering torches, that might be Hecate nearby.
She's tied to the moon and how it changes, just like life does. Have you ever heard of the Greek Magical Papyri? These ancient texts are like a spellbook, filled with rituals and invocations.
And guess who's the star of the show? Hecate, the goddess of magic.
She's not just any deity in these pages, she's a powerhouse. Imagine a goddess so strong that people believed she could protect them from evil, help them talk to the dead, and even control others. That's Hecate in these papyri. When ancient magicians wanted to cast a spell, they'd call on her like she was their secret weapon.
They didn't just use her name, though. They had special titles for her, like Torchbearer and Keyholder. These weren't just fancy words. They were like passwords to tap into her power. And get this, people would leave offerings for Hecate at Crossroads. Why? Because they thought these places were magical spots where different worlds met. They'd often bring black dogs to these rituals, animals that were closely tied to Hecate in stories.
The moon played a big part in Hecate's magic too. People saw the changing moon as a symbol of Hecate's power to transform things and reveal hidden truths. In the end, these papyri show us just how important Hecate was to ancient magicians. They saw her as this incredibly powerful, complex goddess who could do almost anything.
And you know what? Her influence didn't stop in ancient times. People are still fascinated by her today.
Hecate's connection to the Underworld goes beyond death. Imagine a vast shadowy realm where she reigns as queen. This isn't just a gloomy place of endings, but a space of transformation and new beginnings. In ancient times, people turned to Hecate for powerful magic. The Greek Magical Papyri, old spell books, show us how they called on her. These weren't your everyday prayers. They were dark, mysterious chants, using special words to reach Hecate in the Underworld. But don't think Hecate's domain is all doom and gloom. It's like a hidden library of secrets and possibilities. She's like a tour guide for souls, showing them the way after death. But she doesn't stop there. Hecate also helps the living find deep wisdom. She's got a foot in both worlds, making her super helpful for spiritual growth and magical work.
You know those moments when you feel stuck at a crossroads in life? That's where Hecate shines. These in-between places are where her power is strongest. People leave offerings for her there, hoping for guidance. Hecate is not just about the dark underground, though. She's also tied to the bright moon up in the sky. And she's got some animal friends who tag along on her journeys.
Curious about how all these pieces fit together? Let's take a closer look at Hecate's many sides.
Hecate's power reaches far beyond Crossroads. Ancient Greek sorcerers relied on her in the Magical Papyri, a collection of spells and rituals. They called upon Hecate for protection, to speak with the dead, and to bind enemies.
These weren't your average prayers. They were complex formulas that showed how Hecate could move between different worlds. In these old texts, Hecate appears as a triple goddess. This means she had 3 forms, each with its own power.
The rituals to contact her often happened in the dark and required special offerings. This focus on shadows and night showed how Hecate ruled over the hidden parts of life and death. The way people spoke to her in these spells was different from other gods, proving how important she was in those times. Hecate's connection to the moon is also crucial. Just like the moon changes, Hecate was linked to the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. She wasn't just a goddess of magic, she also helped guide souls between the world of the living and the dead. There's more to Hecate than just words in old books. She had symbols and sacred animals that represented her power. Each of these has its own story and meaning.
What animals did Hecate favor? What objects were special to her? These symbols and creatures help us understand this mysterious goddess better.
Hecate, the ancient Greek goddess of magic, has a rich tapestry of symbols that reveal her complex nature. Let's unpack these fascinating emblems that give us a glimpse into her mysterious world. The moon, with its ever-changing phases, is deeply tied to Hecate. Just as the moon waxes, becomes full and wanes, Hecate embodies the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. This celestial connection speaks to her influence over intuition and feminine power. But Hecate's reach goes beyond the sky. As a guide for souls in the underworld, she's often associated with keys. These aren't your everyday house keys. They're symbolic tools that open doors between different realms of existence.
Have you ever stood at a crossroads, unsure which path to take? That's Hecate's territory. Crossroads, especially those with 3 paths, represent her triple nature and her influence over time itself, past, present, and future. In ancient artwork, Hecate often holds torches. These aren't just for lighting the way. They symbolize her role as a guide through life's darkest moments and her ability to shine light on hidden truths. The Greek Magical Papyri, ancient spellbooks, tell us how people used these symbols in rituals. They believed invoking Hecate's emblems could protect them, help them see the future, or even transform their lives. Hecate's symbols are often linked with certain animals. Snakes, for example, represent her connection to the underworld and the idea of renewal. Dogs, loyal and protective, are seen as her faithful companions. These symbols aren't just relics of the past. They offer a way to connect with Hecate's energy even today.
How might these ancient symbols speak to us in our modern world? What wisdom can they offer for our personal growth?
Let's talk about Hecate's fascinating triple goddess form, Maiden, Mother, and Crone. This concept mirrors life's cycles and the moon's phases, showing different sides of Hecate. The Maiden is all about youth and new starts. Think of her as the waxing moon, full of fresh ideas and creativity. She's there for you when you're starting something new, lighting your path with her torch. Then we have the Mother, Hecate at her most powerful. She's like the full moon, nurturing and protective. She stands guard at crossroads and thresholds, watching over the in-between places where different worlds meet. The Crone represents wisdom and endings, like the waning moon. In this form, Hecate guides souls to the afterlife. She's a master of magic and herbs, making her a go-to for spells and fortune-telling. These 3 aspects work together, showing how Hecate understands and influences every part of life. Ancient Greek magicians often called on all 3 forms in their spells, recognizing the power in this complete version of Hecate. Her symbols and animal friends also reflect this triple nature. The torch, key, and dagger each connect to a different aspect. Her animal companions, dogs, snakes, and horses, might represent these 3 sides of her too. This idea of embracing different parts of ourselves as we go through life speaks to many people today. It's a powerful way to think about personal growth and spirituality. The triple goddess isn't just about Hecate. It's a powerful idea found in many cultures. Think of it as life stages wrapped up in feminine energy. People today use these ideas to grow and feel stronger. The Maiden? She's all about fresh starts and creativity. The Mother? She's nurturing and abundant, teaching us to care for ourselves and others. And the Crone? She's wise and transformative, helping us let go of what we don't need anymore. By connecting with these energies, people try to balance their lives and tap into something bigger than themselves. you'll see this concept pop up in modern pagan and Wiccan practices. They use it in rituals, when they meditate, and to understand themselves better.
It's pretty amazing how these old ideas still speak to us today, isn't it?
Today, people find strength in Hecate's ancient symbols. Her three faces show life stages, helping us grow. Think of her torches as lights in your mind, showing you new ideas. Her keys? They're like finding your hidden talents. When you're stuck at a crossroads, remember Hecate understands tough choices. Even her dogs teach us about trust and gut feelings. Try bringing these ideas into your life. Maybe meditate on Hecate's image, or make a special space with her symbols. It's amazing how this goddess from long ago still helps us learn about ourselves now.